This video, watch with caution for the faint of heart. In a church in Tahaskan, France, 1956, the boy Peppa turned around and saw the bottle explode for no reason. In panic, he asked the priest for help, but ghost nuns are not easy to mess with. It's been inside Jack all along. The priest was controlled by the ghost nun and ascended to heaven. At the same time, his body spontaneously combusted for no reason. The little boy Peppa Pig screamed. A living person was burned to ashes like this. In darkness, Jack walked further and further with his bed. The ghost nun retired and continued to hide in Jack's body. The second day, Jack came to the school that was originally a church. A kid caught Jack's weird behavior. He was so frightened that he ran away quickly. But how could the ghost nun let him go so easily? He grabbed the boy's neck and broke his spine. The boy died on the spot. On the other side, Tessa, the ghost nun's rival, suddenly wakes up from bed. She noticed something strange. Shortly, the dean informed that someone was looking for her. Tessa immediately got up and went downstairs. She didn't see anyone. In the corridor, the light behind Tessa suddenly turned on. Jack stood there strangely. Tessa also noticed something and looked back. Jack looked abnormal and asked Tessa for help. Immediately afterwards, he opened his big mouth and attacked Tessa. Tessa woke up in bed the next second. Blood also came out of her nose. Ever since she had this dream, Tessa's premonition became more and more ominous. The day after she woke up, the Pope sent people to find Tessa. The Pope informed Tessa that there had been several strange and brutal deaths recently. The Holy See investigated this series of murders against church personnel. It started in the Romanian church, where Tessa sealed the ghost nun for years ago. The Holy See believes ghost nuns are the culprits, so they plan to send Tessa to France to investigate this incident. Tessa takes the train on this uncertain journey of life and death. Companion Marie followed Tessa on the train for the sake of sisterhood. At the same time, Jack has no idea that he is possessed. He continued to work as a maintenance worker at the school. During this period, the innocent girl, Sophie, also became good friends with him. Sophie is not having a good time at school. She is bullied by the school bully every day. This day, Sophie was forced into the abandoned chapel by them again. The church has been bombed before. The principal's son died here. The church was therefore closed. The school bully scares Sophie with the haunted incident here. She asked Sophie to stare at the red goat's eyes on the glass. The school bully said this gun ward off evil spirits. The school bullies took the opportunity to sneak out of the chapel, leaving Sophie alone. After a while, Sophie was shocked to realize that she was the only one around and was instantly scared. She ran outside quickly. A few people hiding at the door laughed and deliberately closed the door. The school bullies were blocking the door to prevent Sophie from escaping. Next second, something terrible happened. Sophie saw the white cloth in the church slowly moving. She was so frightened that she backed away. The white cloth was pulled down instantly. A plaster statue of a woman is revealed from behind. And just at this time, Jack suddenly opens the church door and successfully rescues the panicked Sophie. Investigation team on the other side. Tessa and Mary came to the church where the priest caught fire at the beginning. They came to the priest's former residence and saw a strange painting. Tessa introduces him as the patron saint of the blind. Saint Lucia was burned at the stake by the pagans, but the fire seemed to be spiritual and did not harm him in the slightest. Pagans brutally gouged out Saint Lucia's eyes. The nun in the church told them, when the priest was killed, the little boy Peppa was there. There is also a maintenance man named Jack who also knows about this. He resigned and left here the day after the incident. Tessa has a hunch that something is wrong with her savior, Chet. After all, wherever he goes, something will happen. Tessa then realizes that the one who hurt everyone is the ghost sister. It has already possessed Jack's body and hurts people everywhere. Naya, Tessa alone meets witness Paige and other children. She hurriedly chased after her but found that the alley was empty. Tessa keeps searching for the children. She stumbled upon a newsstand. The magazines on the wall were blown by the strange wind. The face of the ghost nun suddenly appeared on the wooden board. Tessa looked back in great surprise. She didn't find anyone suspicious. Her attention was drawn to the magazine. A ghost nun suddenly appeared in front of her. Tessa's eyes reflected blazing fire. The screen changes. She was lying on the road. On the other side, Principal Emma saw Jack's sneaky figure in the church. Emma stepped forward and patted Jet. He was frightened and jumped out of the window to escape. Emma vaguely heard her son's cry for help from the closed door. She quickly took out the key and opened the lock. In the dark, she got her wish and saw her dead son. Emma thought her son had returned from the dead, but she discovered that a strange hand slowly appeared on his shoulder. Immediately afterwards, Emma was attacked by her son. Emma dodges in panic, but she was also beaten by her son until her face was covered in blood. In the end, she was hit with an iron hook and her flesh was bloody. The next day, Sophie's mother came to the church and discovered this horrific scene. On the other side, Tessa, who had been unconscious all night, also woke up. She told Mary she had a strange dream. Someone gave her a strange treasure box. Mary also brought the cross that the priest had carried before his death. The two saw the strange patterns on it. They immediately thought that the other victims also carried the same cross. Tessa had an idea and hurriedly took Mary to the archives of the French papal palace. The caretaker saw the pattern and told them it was the family crest of Saint Lucia. In other words, the ghost nuns killed the descendants of Saint Lucia. It turns out that in order to avoid the pursuit of pagans, the descendants, they took away Saint Lucia's eyes. The energy contained in these eyes is very powerful. Tessa and the others believe that what Ghost Sister Violet has always wanted to obtain is these eyeballs. When administrators searched for information, they discovered that the eyes had been buried by a priest in his monastery. It has now been converted into a school. The address also happens to be Jack's current school. It would take Tessa an hour to get there. On the other hand, Jack and Sophie have a better relationship. Then he met her mother Jenny. The two were still dancing ambiguously. Suddenly Jack felt unwell. He collapsed directly to the ground. Jenny noticed an inverted cross on the back of Jack's neck. This is a classic sign of possession by a ghostly nun. The camera turns to Sophie. The face of a ghost nun suddenly appeared in the portrait behind her. Jack slowly raised his head to look behind Sophie. The ghost nun suddenly appears and becomes a three-dimensional soul. Jack quickly took the mother and daughter to escape. At this time, Tessa and Mary also drove over. They met at the door before Jack could finish introducing the mother and daughter. Tessa sternly stopped Jack from approaching the two of them. Jack's expression is strange. He tried his best to explain to Tessa the urgency of escape. Tessa musters up the courage to confront him. She said the ghost nun was possessing Jack. They will suffer misfortune. Jack looked dazed after hearing this. Next moment, he only felt that his whole body was being controlled by someone and began to sway left and right. When he looked up again, he had a completely horrifying expression. The ghost nun completely took over his body. Subsequently, Jack walked towards the back. Tessa hurriedly caught up. Jack saw this and punched Tessa. Tessa was beaten away. Mary continues to support Tessa. She then flew onto Jack from behind. Jack defeated her effortlessly. Tessa wields the powerful weapon of the cross as she recites an incantation to ward off evil spirits. Jack is disturbed. Body rejection reaction. He couldn't control himself and collapsed to the ground screaming. Mary knocked Jack unconscious with a hammer. Afterwards, they tied Jack up with thick iron chains. The next task for Tessa and his team is to find the sacred object, the Eye of Saint Lucia. They patrolled the church. Sophie also provides clues about the goat. Tessa asked Mary to go outside the glass and shine a flashlight into the goat's red eyes. Sure enough, Tessa followed the guidance of the red light. She successfully found the burial place of the relic. But they didn't find it. Jack has broken free of his chains and escaped. Tessa has obtained the relic. Mary returns to the church to find a panicked little girl standing upstairs. Mary followed her gaze upwards. She was shocked to see a goat-headed monster lurking upstairs. When it growled at Mary, it immediately ran towards the girl's position, and Mary bravely stepped forward. She picked up the girl before the monster arrived and ran to the dormitory room to hide. However, the girls were controlled by unknown objects in the room. Sometimes they are thrown against the wall. Sometimes they are dragged out the door. Mary hurriedly chased and pulled up the girl. They had no choice but to hide in the back room. The noise in the room reached Tessa and Jenny's ears. They were ready to get up and go to the rescue. As a result, he bumped into the blackened Jack. Jack knocked Jenny over with one palm. Then he rushed towards Tessa and slammed her head into the ground. The holy object also rolled to Sophie's feet. Jack is still hurting Tessa in revenge. Sophie took the holy object and ran away. Upon seeing this, Jack immediately abandoned Tessa and chased forward. At the same time, a little girl sneaked into the principal's office and looked up only to see Emma's vivid back. She was frightened and returned immediately. The dead Emma directly held the girl's head with both hands. Critical juncture. Mary struggled to pull her away and the girl escaped from the clutches. The girls ran away one after another. Sophie, who was holding the holy object, hid in the bell tower. Jack came later. The holy object in Sophie's hand actually emitted a burst of light. Jack came face to face with Sophie directly. The light of the relic attacks Jack. Sophie took this opportunity to escape. Soon, the whole bell tower shook violently. Internal buildings also collapsed. Tessa, who was downstairs, rushed in to save Sophie regardless of the danger. In front of Sophie was the collapsed floor. It took the two of them a while to escape, and Jack follows closely behind. The moment he rushed up, Tessa immediately raised the holy object in Sophie's hand, targeted him, and cast an exorcism spell. Tessa is also disturbed by it. The powerful power erupted from the sacred object changed the possessed Jack. His face suddenly bleeds. Tessa suppressed the guilt in his heart and channeled his magic power to him, and Jack felt the pain unbearable. Jack desperately begs the nun to kill him. Subsequently, Jack fell straight to the ground and passed out. Tessa crouched down and cried. At this moment, Jack's hand suddenly grabbed the holy object in Tasha's hand and raised it high. The ghost nun successfully obtained the power of the sacred object by feigning death. The ghost nun revealed her true form and revealed her terrifying face. It directly controlled the chain to lock Mary's neck with a wave of its hand. It's useless for Tessa to save him on his own. The ghost nun continues to control Tessa, suspending her in the air. Flames formed in its mouth and burned up Tessa's skirt. Tessa moaned in pain. The flames had eroded her entire lower body. In despair, she recalled what her mother had said to herself. You have a pair of eyes like mine. It turns out Tessa is also a descendant of Saint Lucia. The flame suddenly disappeared after rising halfway. Tessa also landed. Ghost nun is unwilling and angry. It roared and flew towards Tessa, deciding to deal with it himself. Fortunately, Mary reacted in time and took Tessa away. Sophie is also being attacked by ghost nuns. A bunch of large barbs appeared on the ground, surrounding Mary and the two. Jack also lost his mind and wanted to kill Sophie, and Tessa's heart-wrenching scream stunned Jack. At this time, Tessa and Mary put their hands on the ground. They chanted exorcism spells at the same time. They are preparing to summon the blood of eternal covenant to exorcise the demons. Tessa's words just finished. The wine barrel suddenly exploded and sprayed out a huge amount of liquid, heading towards the ghost nun. The ghost nun was ignited with raging flames from her face to her body, destroyed completely in an instant. After the matter is over, the happy life of Jack and Jenny's family. The movie ends.